Today on the Roxom Report London, Bitcoin could be primed for a price game changer. JPMorgan is starting their own digital asset platform. Michael Saylor goes on a buying spree again. Liverpool is on the map in the Bitcoin world. All that plus a Walmart stablecoin, a Trump mobile phone service, and more today on the Roxom Report London. Hello and welcome. I'm Ione Butler and this is the Roxom Report London, coming to you live from our studio right in the heart of the capital, where London is currently baking in a heatwave. Fortunately for us, we're broadcasting from one of our the rare air-conditioned spots in the city. Now we have a packed lineup ahead, so let's get straight to it. Kicking things off, we are diving into today's biggest Bitcoin headline. This is Top of the Block.
Okay.
Today we may be standing at the edge of a massive crypto pivot. Not in some distant future, but right now in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Senate has just voted to move forward on a landmark piece of crypto legislation called the Genius Act, a bill that could bring full legal clarity to stablecoins, those dollar-pegged digital tokens quietly moving trillions around the world. The final vote is expected Tuesday, and if it passes, Donald Trump is ready to sign it. Now, here's where it gets seismic. Trump's not just cheerleading. He's calling this the moment for the US to dominate crypto, and he's been backing that up with action. Earlier this year, he launched an executive order creating a US strategic Bitcoin reserve. And yes, he even has his own meme coin and stablecoin rolled out through his family's World Liberty financial project. It's all adding up to something far bigger than just crypto news. The Genius Act could legitimize the stablecoin industry, already worth over $250 billion, and potentially unlock trillions more in tokenized dollars. According to analysts from Standard Chartered and Hashdex. And here's the twist. Big names are lining up. Amazon, Walmart, even Expedia and unnamed airlines are reportedly exploring launching their own stablecoins. We'll discuss that later in the show. If they follow through, it could directly disrupt the existing payment giants, think Visa and Mastercard, whose transaction volume has already been surpassed by stablecoins in some months. Meta is also back in the game after its failed Libra DM attempt. It's reportedly in talks to bring stablecoin support to its 3 billion users across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. All this, the politics, the market action, the corporate scramble is happening against a backdrop of Bitcoin consolidating above $100,000. And as one analyst put it, the driver isn't just price action, it's regulatory clarity. If the Genius Act lands on Trump's desk next week, we could be looking at the most significant moment in US crypto history. One that doesn't just impact markets, it rewrites the financial map. Woo! We'll be right back with the Market Watch.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Are moving in Europe right now. Sorry, I did say that we would start on commodities, but let's have a look at Europe. So here in the UK, we've got the FTSE 100 at 8,850 points. That is down 0.28%. The DAX at 23,515, down 0.77%. CAC, France's CAC 40 at 7,697, down 0.58%. AEX, not sure which country that is, I have to look that up, 920, down 0.44%, and stocks at 4,500, that is down almost 60%. I'm curious to take a look at how commodities are performing. We don't usually talk about them on the show, but it is good to take a look, especially as oil prices have gone up due to the Iran-Israel conflict. So oil is $73 a barrel. That's up 2%. Gas 2.26, up almost 2%. Natural gas almost 3.80, up 1.3%. Gold, look at that, 3,404, down 0.36. And silver sitting around $37. These are in dollars, right, Anton, our producer up above? Yep, yeah, it is. Silver's up almost 2%. Okay, can we have a look at how the US market is looking? Let's find that. And it's everything you need to know about the US just before the bell. So actually, can I see? Oh, there we go. Sorry, yeah. So we've got the S&P 500 down 21% there. What else have we got? Sorry, keep that moving for me. Thank you. We're trying a new little hack. We were using Google Finance, but now we're on to CNBC right now. I'm just getting my head around it. Bear with me, everybody. The Dow is at 42,000, or was at 42,515 at close. Futures looking like 42,699. This is a change of 164, down 164. What else do we have to look at here? What ones do we normally check out? Let's go back to our old list, shall we? Coinbase, we've got 261. That's up, wow, 7.77%. Things are moving. MicroStrategy Inc., 382, down 1.16%. Nvidia Corp, 144, up almost 2%. And Tesla is slowly moving up again at $329 a share, up 1.17%. Things are looking up. And taking our look at Bitcoin, it actually dropped quite a lot since we started the show, prepping for the show this morning. I think it was up at 107,000. We're now down to 105,753. Sorry, just going to go back to the US futures. Mostly down as the war between Israel, and Iran continues. That was the futures. And in Bitcoin, so, as I was saying, 105,753, down 90.99, almost 1%. This is a modest decline of 1% over the last 24 hours. The price has fluctuated between a high of $108,801 and a low of $105,693 during this 24-hour period, indicating relatively stable trading conditions. Now, this slight dip follows a period of upward momentum, with Bitcoin recently surpassing the 107,000 mark. Despite this minor pullback, the cryptocurrency market remains resilient, bolstered by sustained institutional interest and broader market dynamics. Overall, Bitcoin's performance over the last 24 hours reflects a period of consolidation, with investors closely monitoring key support levels and market developments. All right, up next, we're taking you on a rapid-fire tour of the biggest stories in global finance and tech. From Bitcoin moves to market shifts, we've got the insights you need. They're fast, focused, and on the mark. This is the Global Gist. I'll talk to you about this one then after. JPMorgan Chase, one of the world's largest, most buttoned-up banks, is now officially making a deeper play into Bitcoin. On Sunday, JPMorgan filed a trademark application for a new digital asset platform called JPMD. And this isn't just a casual dip into the water. According to the filing, JPMD is designed to handle it all: trading, exchanging, transferring, paying with, and even issuing digital assets. Now let's just take a second to appreciate what that means. This is the same JP Morgan whose CEO, Jamie Dimon, has spent years dragging crypto through the mud, famously calling Bitcoin a fraud back in 2017. But fast forward to today, and not only is JPMorgan giving clients access to Bitcoin, it's also accepting BTC ETFs as collateral for loans. Now that's a big shift. And now they're laying the groundwork for what could become a full-blown digital asset infrastructure under their own brand. It fits into a much bigger story. Wall Street is not just warming up to crypto, it's quietly building around it. Banks are exploring stablecoins. Asset managers are tokenizing funds. And behind the scenes, firms like JPMorgan are already running real blockchain infrastructure. Case in point, their private network, Connexus, which is processing more than $2 billion a day in transactions. What JPMD signals is intent. Serious long-term intent. And they're not just offering access to crypto, they're preparing to operate within it. And look, while the trademark filing doesn't guarantee a launch date, it does show something important. The world's most powerful institutions are no longer dismissing crypto, they're formalizing it, integrating it, and in some ways, preparing to compete with the very networks that were supposed to disrupt them. If JPMorgan, the establishment of the establishment, is building a crypto platform of its own, then we're not looking at the future of finance. We're standing inside it. Woo! Anton, I'm going to go to my producer up above there. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it's interesting that it feels like the big establishment banks they know they're missing the boat a little bit by not being in it, but they have seemed very scared of it at the same time. I think it also brings up the fact that with such a volatile asset, how deeply entrenched into the global banking system can that be for everybody to maintain stasis or any type of stasis? I mean, I can't say we're in a really normal stasis right now, but
That's true.
But yeah, it feels like they know they're missing the boat and they're trying to get back on board.
I agree, definitely. I mean, it's quite a rebound from the CEO who's called it a fraud in his back. He kind of is coming back with his tail between his legs a little bit. You know, I think I was reading an article about who was saying, look, it's not for me, but I want to be able to give our customers the opportunity to use it, which is, you know, quite grown up of him, mature to realize that maybe you kind of missed the boat on something and are coming back round to it and being open. I think it was him. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like I also nice. It's the kind of like the old guy. It's not for me, but I like that the kids like it.
Yeah. I also find it interesting that, Bitcoin, which was launched as a big middle finger in response to the global financial crisis in 2008, and now all of these banks are getting into it. I wonder what that does. I wonder what that means for Bitcoin.
Can Bitcoin maintain its sort of outsider alternative status if the banks that they're trying to deviate from own a ton of it?
Yeah. It poses a lot of questions. It'd be great to get some more sort of policy experts in here to back and forth chat on that, but it does raise a lot more questions.
We will have some more coming this week. Do you want to talk about that?
We do have some guests in the studio coming for you. Yes, we have some people who will be at the Bitcoin Prague coming to you live on Thursday and Friday, so you can get a behind-the-scenes look at what is unfolding in Prague towards the end of this week with updates. So that will be happening. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next global gist story. You're not going to believe this. MicroStrategy, the firm formerly known as MicroStrategy, has just added another 10,000. Is that supposed to be 10,100 or was that a typo? I can't hear him. I'll move on. But it's a very specific number if it is. 10,100 Bitcoin to its already record-shattering treasury. That brings the total stash to 592,100 Bitcoin, worth over $63 billion at today's prices. Now let's pause here. That's nearly 3% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist, held by one company. And how did they pull off this latest shopping spree? Not with cash lying around, but with a sharp bit of financial engineering. Strategy just raised almost $1 billion through a high-yield preferred stock offering, specifically a new instrument called STRD, targeted at long-term investors hungry for fixed income returns. That offering alone brought in $979.7 million after fees. They topped it up with additional share sales from other preferred classes, STRK and STRF, as part of an at-the-market program. It's bold, it's complex, it's very strategy. What's striking is how calculated all of this is. The average purchase price of their total Bitcoin holdings, just over $70,000. That's a massive cushion at current prices. Bitcoin's trading at around $105,000 right now, and it shows how carefully they've timed their accumulation. Now let's be clear, strategy isn't just investing in Bitcoin. They're financializing it. They're using traditional capital markets, stock offerings, preferred shares, structured equity to transform Bitcoin from an asset into a corporate operating system. And markets are paying attention. Even in pre-market hours, Strategy's shares are up, and the firm now sits at the very center of a new financial era, where corporate treasuries don't just hold dollars and bonds, they hold Bitcoin. The message from Strategy is loud and clear. Bitcoin isn't just part of the portfolio, it is the portfolio. Anton, what are your thoughts on MicroStrategy owning almost 3% of Bitcoin that will ever be made, that will ever exist?
I think it's a bold strategy, if you will. Yeah, it feels like they want to be the new banking system for the world. If they own most of the currency, if Bitcoin becomes the world's global currency, seems like a smart move for them. It's a little worrying that one company owns so much. We see that in tech and we see that in banking, and I feel like that's causing a lot of problems right now. How do you feel?
I think it's quite a high percentage. I mean, yeah, it could be. It's a lot, and I wonder what the end goal is, to buy it all. You know, I'm curious. His strategy is Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. The other sort of point that stood out for me in that was the average price that they've paid is $70,000, which is higher than I thought. You know, I thought that they were going all in at an earlier time. So I found that to be quite interesting. It seems like they're not. Well, I thought that he was in it from a very long. I thought he was a day one guy.
It's interesting. I think he was, but he's probably bought so much recently that it's raised the average.
Yeah. He definitely has been buying over the years, but probably more recently these huge amounts. Yeah.
And by the way, it is 10.1 thousand Bitcoin. We did have that right. Not 10,000.
Wait,
10.1.
Oh, well, apologies about that. Okay, he bought 10.1 Bitcoin. I said 10. I think I said
100 Bitcoin.
Oh, he bought 10,100 Bitcoin.
That's
okay,
right.
Great. I did say it correctly. Just want to make sure that we're getting you the right facts. All right, everyone, we're going to cut to another quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more Global Gist stories.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Liverpool, the city of the Beatles, football, and fiercely proud locals, has just been crowned the digital asset capital of the UK. That's according to a new study by Openreach, which analysed the digital habits of people across Britain. And Liverpool, it topped the charts with 13% of residents regularly investing in crypto and checking the markets, more than any other city in the country. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but in crypto terms, it's significant. It suggests a real grassroots enthusiasm, not just speculative hype, but a steady stream of day-to-day engagement. People in Liverpool aren't just watching from the sidelines, they're in the game. But this wasn't just a crypto survey, it was a broader look at how we spend our lives online, and the regional differences are fascinating. London, for instance, isn't Britain's crypto capital. It's the dating app capital. A full 24% of Londoners say they're swiping at least 3 times a week. Meanwhile, Sheffield is Britain's unofficial TikTok and music streaming HQ. And Manchester is glued to Instagram more than anywhere else. Leeds is still hanging out on Facebook. And Brighton, that's the digital minimalist. Just 11% of households spend more than 5 hours online a day, compared to 32% in Sheffield. But back to Liverpool, because this isn't just about crypto, it's about a city showing up at the digital frontier. Whether it's Bitcoin or broadband, Liverpool is clearly a place where people are embracing digital tools to invest, connect, and take control. Still, the study also sounded a note of caution. 43% of people across the UK say they waste time online, and a third say they'd feel better if they spent less time scrolling. So maybe the real takeaway is this: the future's digital, but how we use it and what we choose to do with it still matters. And Liverpool? They've clearly decided to make it count. What do you make of this, Anton? Liverpool, of all places, being the crypto capital of the UK. I have to say I was quite surprised.
I was surprised by that too. You figure it's going to be London. In
Of
almost
course,
all
yeah.
respects of everything that tops the list in
Yeah.
the UK.
I'm definitely curious to find out sort of how this grassroots Liverpool, how this has happened. I feel like it's maybe driven by men, maybe influencers. This is just sort of speculating and putting some guesses out there as to how this has grown. I feel like it's probably a community that's grown
Liverpool
and been built.
Bitcoin influencer community. I mean, I'm sure it exists.
Can you have a Google and see if we can find out a little bit more about how this developed? It makes sense that the dating capital would be London. I feel like that's where you've got a lot of young professionals, single, ready to mingle. I feel like, and I'm just sort of guessing here, but just sort of outside of London, perhaps it's easier to settle down. What would you make of that?
I would say so. Yeah, most capitals, I feel like people have a tough time. You know, it is interesting that this article brought up people spending too much time online.
Oh yeah.
I did not think it would sort of be in connection with Bitcoin, but I guess you can get sucked into Bitcoin too and spend a lot of your time watching.
Absolutely.
Researching and it is a digital asset, so I guess that is part of your digital life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are very passionate that would spend every minute of the day
I'm
Bitcoin
not seeing
focused.
anything about specifically Liverpool Bitcoin influencers. Just a lot of this article being shared, but I don't see anything about Liverpool being in the Bitcoin space before this.
Okay. Maybe it's a dud study. If anybody knows of any or why Liverpool may have become a bit of a crypto Bitcoin hub, please let us know. I'd be curious to speak to any locals there and if there is a community.
Well, it's also interesting.
Okay.
Can we get back to the center cam screen share, Gosti?
Let's
Sorry,
do it.
that's some insider talk. We're talking to our producer there. You know, research reveals 13% of residents regularly invest in cryptocurrency. That doesn't seem that much to me, for that to be the highest. You know.
I mean, it is a lot. I mean, you think about if it was, say, we weren't talking about Bitcoin and we were talking about a share in a specific company. And it was 13% of the population were regularly investing into this one share. I mean, it's pretty huge.
Okay, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. You've changed my mind.
Yeah, and I would be curious to know what the percentages of Londoners that are regularly investing and checking Bitcoin is, because then that would really see how far apart Liverpool is. But yeah, I was surprised by that.
Thinking back to your friends and family, what percentage would you think is invested in any way in crypto?
Oh, good question. Well, there's definitely a contingent of California friends who are, I'd probably say maybe 10%, maybe 20%. So it's kind of like thinking about my broader market of friends. Between 10 and 20%, I would say. Yeah. What about you?
I think if I take everybody, it's got to be probably, I'm going to say 13%. I'm going to say the same as Liverpool.
Okay, putting it out there. It's not been verified, not been checked, but you're just going to say it. Okay, great. Okay, let's take a look at the next story. In a significant development for transatlantic trade, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order reducing tariffs on UK-made cars entering the United States. The move brings key elements of a new UK-US tariff agreement into effect, following weeks of negotiations. The order reduces import duties on British car shipments to the US from 25% to 10%, allowing up to 100,000 vehicles to enter under the new terms. While this still represents an increase from the previous 2.5% tariff, it avoids what would have been a 27.5% levy in the absence of an agreement. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, speaking at the G7 summit in Canada, described it as a very important day for both countries. And industry leaders appear to agree. The chief executive of the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, Mike Hughes, called the deal a huge reassurance, noting that UK car exports to the US had slowed significantly as manufacturers awaited clarity. The announcement comes at a critical time. Earlier this year, Jaguar Land Rover, one of the UK's largest car makers, temporarily paused shipments to the US due to tariff uncertainty. The company has since lowered its earnings forecast. The deal also removes certain tariffs on aerospace goods and gestures toward future negotiations on steel and aluminium, though no specifics were offered. When asked directly, President Trump declined to say whether steel tariffs would be lifted, stating only that further details would come in a little while. Notably, this agreement is not a full free trade deal. The US president does not have authority to sign one without congressional approval. Still, the UK government has positioned the outcome as a step forward, with Trade Secretary Jonathan Reynolds confirming it reflects work happening at pace between both governments. While some in Westminster have downplayed the scope, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch referred to it as a tiny tariff deal for sectors like automotive and aerospace. It marks a meaningful shift in trade terms with the UK's largest single export market. Okay. Well, that's somewhat of a relief. Some negotiations and some deals being discussed and agreed.
Yeah, it feels like a real nice half of things got done article, like not all the way.
Yeah, exactly. We're not in the clear yet.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm curious that the Kemi Badenoch, I'm not saying her name correctly, the Conservative leader, seemed like a little subtle dig there. I wonder what she was expecting it to be. Is there any chance of kind of having a look as to that? I find with the UK politics, it's sort of whatever the other team has done, you just bash it or downplay it, you know?
Let's see if we get one more here.
It's just at the bottom of the article that it's mentioned, I think, just briefly, but she kind of a little subtle dig, calling it, your stupid little.
Oh.
It's such a strange comment to make about it.
Yeah.
Your stupid little tiny automotive tariff deal. Yeah. Tell us how you really feel, Kemi. But no, it's not, I guess it hasn't, still steel and aluminium hasn't been agreed, but it is one sector that are able to kind of breathe a little bit easier, I suppose.
It seems like a big deal, especially with the continuing fight with the entire European Union. I think it's a big deal that the UK is making headway in this fight that didn't need to happen at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I wonder when the rest of the EU will be having these discussions. We'll find out and can update people soon. All right, any more thoughts on this one? UK trade deals, super exciting.
Tell us how you really feel. Yes, I do have some more to say. Did you see the meeting that this picture is showing right now?
No, between Starmer and Trump?
Yes. Trump.
No, tell me about it.
Trump called the UK the EU, and then opened
Oh.
his fancy folder for showing signatures, and all the papers just fell right out, and you had Starmer and Trump trying to get all the papers and put them back up. It was embarrassing for everybody.
No, I did not know about this. So it was a photo op. They were standing outside. He called the UK the EU. I get it. I'm dyslexic. I do that all the time. But you would hope that he would. Did he correct himself?
I don't know.
Okay. And he opened his briefcase to show some papers, and they all fell out.
Yeah, he wanted to show the signature. You know how he does. He like signs something and then shows it off. And yeah, a bunch of
bless
papers
him.
just
Yeah.
fell out all over the tarmac, I think, of the airport they were at.
That sounds very silly. Oh well. But yes, it is. We are the UK, not the EU. All right, we're going to cut to another very short commercial break, and we'll be back with some Buck the System stories.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Welcome back. Up next, we're diving into a segment that is all about disruption, innovation, and pushing back against centralized control. While Bitcoin is the spark, this isn't just about Bitcoin. It's all about stories that channel the same spirit: decentralization, transparency, freedom, and shaking up the old ways of doing things. This is Buck the System. We've got two Buck the System stories for you today, and our first brings us to the US, where Amazon and Walmart might be gearing up for one of the boldest moves in the history of retail finance: issuing their own digital currencies. Yes, according to a new Wall Street Journal report, both retail giants are exploring the idea of launching their own stablecoins, digital currencies which are pegged to the US dollar. The idea is to sidestep Visa, Mastercard, and the hefty fees that come with every swipe of a customer's card. Now, the logic is straightforward. Every time you tap your card at checkout, companies like Amazon are paying fees to credit card networks. But in a world of digital money, why keep doing that when you could build the infrastructure yourself? Amazon's crypto ambitions are still in early stages, with options reportedly ranging from using third-party stablecoins to possibly issuing its own. But there's a catch. If you want to call it a stablecoin, you have to back it dollar for dollar. That's not just about software. It's about holding massive reserves and maintaining trust at scale. And here's where it gets tricky. If a stablecoin depegs, meaning people lose faith that one coin equals $1 US, the whole system can collapse. We've seen that story before. Enter regulation. Any serious move by Amazon or Walmart would likely hinge on the passage of the Genius Act, the proposed bill that would create a clear legal framework for stablecoins in the US. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because we've seen it attempted. Facebook launched Libra. Remember Zuckbucks? And it didn't end so well. Regulators swarmed. Hearings were held. The project rebranded as Diem. And ultimately, it folded. But this isn't 2019. The US now has a self-declared crypto czar in David Sachs. And yes, President Trump has his own cryptocurrency. So if a mega retailer was ever going to try to reinvent the way we pay and challenge the financial system itself, this might just be the moment. Okay, what do we make of this? Really shifting things up there. Trying to kind of, jump over the credit card companies and just doing payments yourself. It's quite brazen. It's quite bold.
It's bold. I don't think the banks are going to like this. What will
No.
Mastercard have to say, and Visa? I think it's interesting. It's a perfect buck the system story. They're certainly bucking the trends here. They are also powerful companies. So it's not like the little guy coming up to fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Had you heard of Zuckbucks?
Well, in preparation for this story, I was, and our kind of earlier story, learning about Libra and Diem. I think the other day when we had Susie Violet Ward on, we were talking about how, Zuckerberg is a bit, he's always a bit behind. But actually, I would say in this instant, he was actually 2 ahead of the game, and the US wasn't ready for it. So yeah, he was already talking about launching his whole stablecoins. I don't know if that's the same thing as Zuckbucks. Maybe that was the nickname that they gave it, but I think Libra was what it was originally called. And then they kind of got taken down with regulation and a lot of hearings and things, and then rebranded to Diem, and then, like we said, it folded. But it sounded like he was making a play, and it sounds like he's trying to bring that back too, which we're gonna. Did we get into that story? Did we talk about him?
No, but I just pulled it up here, the old Zuckbuck story. It was the Libra, and you're right. He's in a hearing here also. This is over 3 years old. Yeah, did not work out. I think you're right. He was ahead of the game there.
A bit too far ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was also tied. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
It was also tied to his push in the metaverse, which was happening strongly at that time too. So I think that may have crumbled his hopes as well, that not going well.
You think a little bit too many fingers and too many pies, too many big lofty ambitions, or, well, I think it was the regulation, just that the country wasn't quite ready for it yet, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to give it to him. I was thinking that he's always behind the curve, but in this instance, it seems like he was a bit too ahead, but we'll see how that pans out with bringing it back. Okay, should we move on to our last buck the system story? Let's do it. Okay, the Trump brand is getting into the phone business. Yes, the same name behind real estate, golf courses, sneakers, and Bibles is now launching a gold-colored smartphone and mobile service priced at $499 with a monthly plan of $47.45. That number, by the way, nods to Donald Trump's position as both the 45th and the 47th president. The Trump Organization says the device is built in the United States, a promise that's already raising eyebrows. Experts in tech manufacturing say it's virtually impossible to produce a fully American-made smartphone at scale. As Professor Ting-Long Dai at Johns Hopkins put it, you would need a miracle. No prototype has been shown, no specs released, and the supply chain to make it happen just doesn't exist domestically right now. Still, the ambition here is clear. This isn't just a phone, it's a political product aimed at hard-working Americans. The plan includes features like discounted international calls for military families and US-based customer support. But the real value proposition may be less about hardware and more about identity. Ethics groups are raising alarms. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington points out that this is yet another way the Trump family could personally profit while Trump holds public influence. The risk, they argue, is that people may buy in, literally, to gain favor or access. And let's not forget, the mobile market is dominated by telecom giants. Breaking in takes serious infrastructure or star power. Remember Mint Mobile? Ryan Reynolds backed that and walked away with an estimated $300 million when it sold. The Trump name, for its base, might carry a similar commercial pull. Trump's net worth has more than doubled in the last year, buoyed by everything from branded merchandise to social media to the social media firm behind Truth Social. This phone venture? Well, it's the latest extension of a brand strategy that treats politics not just as power, but as a product. Whether the phone works, ships, or even exists in its promised form, there's still an open question. I think that open question is about, is it okay that we have, a president cashing in on being the president? I think that's what makes this story quite nicely sit in there with Buck the System, because, he really is bucking the system.
he is and continues to. And it was a big deal, it seems like, in 2016 when he first came to office. But it seems like people are just like, this is par for the course now. And they're just letting him do whatever. But they keep finding new ways that are surprising me to make money.
Yeah, a gold cell phone with a cell phone plan is not what you'd think. But yeah, got to give it to him. They're being creative.
They're being creative. I have a picture of the cell phone. Do you want to see it?
Oh yeah, let's check it out.
So this is the big,
I don't hate it.
cell phone. Oh,
yeah.
That was surprising.
I mean, I thought it would be like awful, but it looks like an iPhone with a gold cover, right? It looks like a gold bar. Maybe that was part of it.
I think it comes with the cover, and then it has the T and the American flag. It's very Trump.
It is very Trump. What does that say? Is it on the back of it there? It's T, and then what is that? A 1, or is that a silhouette of a person? What is that?
It just
T1?
looks like a 1 to me. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
We got to zoom here. We got a zoom that's taking you over.
Well, there you go, everyone. That's the new Trump cell phone. All right. Well, I don't know that I'll be getting one. I think I'll stick with my Android. What about you? Actually, and what is going to be the operating system of this thing? I guess it's all up in the air right now.
I think it's going to be one of those that licenses a cell phone carrier, so either licenses AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon. Sort of like
the carrier. Mint. Yeah, but I guess it would have to be an Android phone, though, right, to have the Android operating system if it was a smartphone. Yeah. So what other options are there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out. Okay, we're going to take one final last quick break, and we will be right back.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
Welcome back, everyone. So once in a while, we want to bring you inside our world and tell you a little bit more about what we're doing at Roxom and RoxomTV. This is Roxom News. This is a big moment. It's our very first week broadcasting from our brand new studio in London. We're building something special here. It's a newsroom that puts clarity, context, and intelligent conversations at the center of the Bitcoin story. You'll be hearing a lot more from me, from Walton, from Susie Violet Ward, CEO of Bitcoin Policy UK, and from a growing roster of sharp, informed voices across finance, tech, geopolitics, and policy. It's all about raising the standard, cutting through the noise, and covering stories that actually shape our world, not just the ones trending for 5 minutes. We're proud to call London home for this next chapter, and we're just getting started. So yeah, we're going to be talking to, it's a bit of a weird segue, that one. We've just tried that for the first time, everybody. But yes, stay tuned, because with Roxom, we're going to be bringing more guests in. Hopefully it would be great if we can start speaking to some people from Roxom to let you know about a bit more about this incredible company and what we've got going on. That was the point of the Roxom report, to kind of get the name out there. Anton, anything you want to add with our future plans?
I'm excited. This is a whole new type of network. This is a whole new type of TV show. Being that it's not TV, it's a non-TV news network, and yeah, we're excited to bring you a lot more here.
Exactly. The team are hard at work finding a studio in Hong Kong for the next chapter. In delivering 24 hours of live Bitcoin news to the masses. So thank you so much for watching. We're happy for you to be here. That wraps up the London report for today, the Roxom report London for today. Now we're going to head over to our RoxomTV team in the US. Join us again for tomorrow for the latest on Bitcoin and financial news. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.